Right, next game we're going to look at is a game between G Sax. Is it G Sax?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, from Hungary against J Gallagher. And this is really a good example of when we're in situations where we've castled kingside as black. Your opponent's castled queenside, but how do you really get a queenside attack going with black? So we're going to show you, basically in this next part of the video, examples of where black is going for an all-out attack on the queenside.
And this game, I think it's worth pointing out because we saw some examples earlier on where black, in the main lines, puts the pawns on the pawn on e6. Because there's one main question in Najdorf: do you put it on e6 or e5?
Yeah.
And we looked at some examples where it had gone to e6 and how you can attack there, but in this game he puts it on e5, so it's kind of a little bit of a new thing, yeah.
But the nice thing about the Najdorf is you can play either way. Yeah. And still get good chances of an attack on the white queen side. So, whether you put the pawn e6 or e5 isn't the be all and end all.
No.
So okay, let's play for the game. And so Gallagher's playing black.
So e5, bishop e6.
Sure.
Okay. And just talk us through, because we haven't seen this so much. E5, we know this is an idea.
Yeah.
And in this line, why'd you put the bishop on e6?
Well, I think it's a question of taste, really. But I think one of the main reasons is, well, for a start, you're discouraging white from potentially maybe going bishop c4. But more importantly, I think you're really looking for this quick development on the queen side.
Okay, so
with the move b5, and also again, you have this idea of going knight bd7 and the quick development of rook c8.
Right. So
now,
quick development.
I think it comes down to preference how you play it, because you can either play it with b5 immediately and leave the knight on d7, which is effectively what Gallagher plays in this game, or you can play it with knight d7 and rook c8. And that's one of the nice things about the Najdorf, is that both ways of playing are completely playable. And as we'll see in the game, black's way of playing is completely playable. Just put the bishop on e6, put the bishop on e7, castle quickly, and play for a quick b5.
Okay, so let's look at it.
So bishop e7, queen d2, castles. By the way, in this position, a very interesting move. Gallagher in the game played the move b5. A very interesting move is the move a5. But I don't know. Have you seen this move before, Simon?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah. When I was trying to learn a bit of the Najdorf, I looked at this move. Just again,
it's funny when I looked up. Sorry, when I looked up the theory.
Yeah.
So when I prepared this game. Actually, I was playing against Dave Ledger in the Scarborough Congress, and I looked up this line a5, and it seemed to me that black was at the top level was winning a lot of the games. So black actually scores very well with a5, but it's not really in the spirit of the opening, in my opinion. I actually think it's a very risky move, especially for amateur players to play, because you're giving up so many important squares, like on a4 and b5. You're weakening your control.
But you're just trying to push that knight on b3 away and use Ari the a pawn.
Yeah, so it's a very straightforward idea. Yeah. Now, if white goes for a move like bishop b5, then we go knight c6. And we've always got ideas of maybe sacrificing the pawn later on. So it's an interesting idea worth bearing in mind. We won't go massively into that. But Gallagher plays the more sort of classical way of trying to counter-attack on the queen side. He plays the move b5.
So he's decided to leave the knight on b8 because
sure.
I'm assuming you have opposite side castling. So in these situations, just get on with it, and also it's probably quite important to have the b4 move, as we saw, other players do while the knight is on f6, so you can try and at least have this b4 move to stop that knight coming in. So that's why the knight's being left there. Just tempo, would you say, for stuff like that? Is that the main reason, Danny?
Absolutely, yeah. Because you're not sure where you're going to put the knight yet, and you really want to quickly get on with this queenside counterattack. Again, you could certainly play knight bd7. I think if you're going to go for knight bd7 though, you'd probably play it maybe earlier.
Yeah.
But now, but actually your main line is knight bd7, g4.
And now we just saw b5, g5, b4, didn't we?
Yeah. So this is also a main line. Okay. But Gallagher plays the old main line, which is b5.
Yeah.
White plays g4, so he clearly wants to play g5, kick the knight away from this square, gain the d5 square for the knight.
I like the next move because let's just play this, yeah. And you know, if that knight retreats, surely we're just going to push the A pawn then and just get on with it. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, so White's got 3 main moves here. There's an interesting move, knight A4.
Yeah.
Which I think essentially commits Black to a pawn sacrifice because, okay, the D4 pawn, sorry, the B4 pawn is on prise.
So highlight them.
Yeah, so the B4 pawn is on prise. Now, I believe the move D5 is a little bit risky here because maybe we can play G5. And suddenly D5 becomes rather weak. If we move the knight, then we take on D5. Okay, we're getting really deeply into the realm of theory here.
Let's do the main ideas. I don't think we want to look at.
Okay, maybe we can. I'll just show you one idea actually. If you go knight A4, I can go knight BD7. I had a game like this against Bogdan Lalic, and this is 1998 from the Hampstead Congress.
What do you think of Boggy?
I think he's mad as a hatter, mate.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
well summed up.
But in a nice way. You know, I don't think he's got a malicious bone in his body. But
I don't know. I'm not sure.
He slightly reminds me of Bobby Fischer, i.e., a rabid anti-Semite. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's very nice, to be honest.
No.
But anyway, we're talking about. But okay, knight BD7.
Well, I found it. I found this idea.
Okay.
In an article. A game annotated by Peter Svidler in New in Chess.
Yeah.
And the idea is, if you take on B4.
Yeah.
Then Black gets a lot of play with a pawn sacrifice, D5. So he's sacrificing the pawn on B4, but he gets a lot of play. Now, in the game, Boggy played quite a bad mistake. He played King B1.
Yeah.
And now I defend the pawn on B4, Rook B8. Suddenly, this knight on A4 is in trouble.
So highlight that knight.
So I've got a clear plan of going Queen C7 to C6, and then taking the knight on C4.
Right. Nice.
Taking a knight on A4. So after Rook B8, Boggy took on A6.
Yeah.
Queen C7 was played.
Yeah.
Boggy, out of desperation, realised I'm going to go Queen C6, so he played C4.
And offered a draw.
No, he'd offered a draw before this.
Oh, you turned it down. Right, okay, yeah. Boggy is also famous for offering draws against anyone. You know, I mean, okay.
No, maybe he did. I can't actually remember if he offered a draw or not. But
this looks like great play for Black.
Well, I just win material because after Queen C6.
You just took on B5.
Yeah, and then this is just tremendous for Black.
Because you're going to win the knight. I really like that idea.
Win the knight and go Rook A8.
Just show us that idea again then. So just go through it very quickly.
Yeah.
I like this plan that Black's done. Okay, we'll go through it at the end. Let's see what happens in the game.
Yeah, we'll see because we've got a lot to cover. So White played knight D5. Now I believe actually this line from a theoretical standpoint probably is better for White. This is why they go a lot for this knight BD7 move now. But
I mean,
it's still playable for Black. It's still playable.
I was fine. I play a lot of openings and people. Okay, so we get our pawn structure we like. We get A5, and let's just stop here. I find a lot of openings I play, and amateur players, they read somewhere, this is better for White, and they think, right, I'm not touching that with a barge pole. What they forget is in a practical situation, this may be better for White, but practically it's opposite side castling. Your pawns are running down the board, and as J Gallagher shows us, practically, Black's got great chances.
Yeah, I mean Gallagher's a real expert on the Neudorf, and he's actually played this line many times.
Yeah.
Actually, Joe, I knew quite a few years ago. I met him quite a few years ago, and he's formerly from England, of course. Yeah. He then emigrated. He's got quite an interesting backstory because he emigrated to Switzerland. So he married a girl from Switzerland. So he ended up living in Switzerland, and he started playing poker online as well actually. And he told me about internet poker. So I started playing like J Gallagher. His philosophy was you either raise or you fold.
Yeah.
So actually, we see in this game that he's got very similar philosophy in chess. It's all out aggression, basically.
Yeah. Either raise or fold, and he's raising.
He's raising, yeah.
So Queen C7. Just why Queen C7? Let's just explain to me why.
Well, I think it's just a useful move. I mean, you're basically going to go you're going to put the rook on C8 or something, probably.
Right. So a normal move. Yeah.
Just a normal move. Knight FD7.
Now I like this next move after H4. This next move, Knight B6, and we've talked about this before. The C4 square in a lot of cases. A lot of cases, this is a key square, as we're going to see. I mean, this is why actually maybe the Queen's here as well. I mean, this is a really good plan. We've seen this knight manoeuvre happen so much, haven't we? This knight hopping there, or there. You know, it's just again something.
I think this helps Black's attack a lot. Once you exchange off the light square bishop, it makes it a little bit easier to score that knockout attack against the white king.
Sure.
I mean, that is possibly why Black didn't go for knight h5. Also, knight h5 is slightly double-edged because then I can go bishop h3 to g4,
which is something to watch out for as well.
You've always got to be slightly wary if you play knight h5 in these kind of positions. So Black played knight b6. h5 was played, so it's quite interesting that both players have a very, very aggressive setup against their opponent's king. So Black kicked off with a4.
And now it comes in, natural.
Now knight c4. So this is we're still in theory.
Yeah.
And
still in theory. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So.
But it looks like a load of fun, this. And okay, I mean, let's just have a look at the game, I think, now, because after pawn takes h7 with king h8, remember that, tuck your king behind the pawn. I mean, this looks like a load of fun for Black, even if it might be worse.
Yeah, because you've always got this idea. I mean, the thing is, in this position, you've always got this idea b3, and you're always going to generate. Yeah. You're always going to generate this play.
Yeah, and this is the key move to attack, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Why don't you go a3 just to show? I mean, for Black.
Oh, for Black,
because you've got to play either b3 or a3 to attack. So why not a3? I mean, in some cases maybe this is all right if the queen is not on d2. But in this case, I'm assuming b3 closes it down.
Yeah, you've got to be slightly wary that.
I mean, if you can play this, great. But
unfortunately, he's going to take it off. So the ending is not so pretty.
No, you don't want to do this.
We don't want to go to an ending because suddenly our pawns are slightly weak. He might go knight e2, rook d3.
So that's why you go b3.
From Black's perspective, we're thinking, how do we get to the white king?
Yeah.
Now we want to do it in a way where he can't shut our attack down, as you say. Now you could ask, why didn't White go b3 himself? The previous move. The slight difference is now Black can open the a file.
Yeah.
So he could take,
and you've got an open file towards your opponent's king.
Clearly, White wouldn't take with a pawn because Queen a6 would be
nasty,
very, very nasty. So you'd have to take with a c pawn. But again,
you've got a file to attack along.
You've got file. You've got play. You've clearly got play here.
Yeah.
As you say, the a file is open. Okay, the knight on c1 is defending the pawn.
But
in the long term, Black has chances. Now, if we go back to this position after rook g1, of course, Black plays b3. So he doesn't mind giving up a pawn. So don't be worried about giving up a pawn if that opens up the opponent's king.
I mean, White took the pawn now. So let's have a look. And just to demonstrate this, and White grabbed the pawn, but now after queen a4, he's threatening checkmate, isn't he? He's threatening queen a2 and queen a1 checkmate already.
Absolutely. So if White was to go, like, for example, here, then this is already the end of the game. So, of course, White has to take defensive measures. So the natural defensive measure is to threaten mate himself. This is what's so exciting about the Sicilian for me. Is that 1 minute you're attacking, the next minute your opponent has threats of his own. So clearly he's got this threat now of checkmating on g7. Fortunately for Black, he's got a very simple defensive move. He's got this move, bishop f6.
This is a key move in a lot of variations to bear in mind. This bishop can also, with the typical e4 pawn sacrifice, come to life as well.
Absolutely.
Worth remembering. But just show us the end very quickly here, I think.
Yeah, because White played bishop d5, so clearly Black has to act very quickly now. And this is a situation which arises very often in the Sicilian, where you've sacrificed a pawn, you've opened up your king, but because you've done that, you've typically got these attacking resources, and this is clearly shown. So I think one of the important things to remember is, don't be dispirited because you've missed. So say you're Black in this position. Don't be dispirited by the fact that your opponent's just played bishop d5. You think, well, actually, my attack's come to an end. If I go check and queen a1, because here Black has a very important attacking resource. He plays the move knight c5.
Yeah, and if that knight's taken, queen a1, so the game continued, bishop takes f6, and now Black gets the attacking first. because he can take on b3 with check.
And this
Just in time.
Very typical
Just in
idea, which you see in games between very strong players, is that you think they've run out of ideas and suddenly they come up with an extra idea. And this idea of knight to c5 is really really nice idea. So white took, rook check, and we'll just quickly show you how the game finished. The white king was too exposed. Still a complicated position, but basically Gallagher had it all under control. And after queen d4, white resigned. Because if he goes king e2, we go queen takes b2. Clearly you can't go to f1 because of rook a1 mate. And if you go here, I'm still rocking.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Very nice final attack, but clearly a demonstration of once you've opened up the white king, you've got all these different attacking resources. You know, all of black's pieces participated in that final attack. The knight came into the game. The bishop was used for defensive purposes. Then the knight came in the game, and the queen and two rooks combined.
Nice game, nice game. So, you know, again, just me looking at that game.
Sure.
Points I would say is if you play this line, it is a bit theoretical, but you can still play it just by knowing the general themes.
Yeah.
I mean, leaving the knight on b8 and going b4 is a very interesting way of playing.
Sure.
And later on, when you get your pawn storm going, a couple of things to note: always put your king behind your opponent's pawn. And then the important attacking move is normally b3.
You say that, Simon. I mean, really, in that particular position, is king h7 that bad? You prefer?
I think if we just look at general rules, I mean, you know, it might not be. It might not be. I mean, it might be fine, but I mean, it gets a bit boring after queen d3, for example. I mean, we don't have the fun.
True.
You know,
true.
If we
it gives white this extra resource. But you're right. The black king is slightly more exposed.
It's more exposed.
Any kind of position where we can keep that king totally safe.
I think if we're trying to have general rules for the viewers, king h8.
No, I agree. King h8 is a very normal idea.
Don't question me again, Paul. Don't question me again. You question me again, there's trouble, alright?
I'll be booted off my own video.
You'll be booted off your own video. And
just be Simon in the room.
It's quite true. I'd have to get a Gorm lookalike in. Who do you think is, in the celebrity world, who do you think's your nearest lookalike?
Probably someone like Brad Pitt or Tom
I was going to say that. I'll see what Brad's up to and try to get him in.
Zac Efron, maybe.
Zac Efron. Yeah, there's lots of potential. There's lots of potential body doubles for you there. And I don't know who might.
Rihanna.
I think you've got the wrong sex.
I've got the boobs for it.
Well, let's just end this video and move on. Yeah, this is getting a bit weird. Okay, have we got any? What's up next, Gorm?
I got one game from Gelfand to show you if you're interested.
Sure, let's do that.
Would you like to look at that?
Let's look at another quick Gelfand game. Yeah, all right. So let's move on.
Sure.